Hey, welcome back. It's Jason Walter here, and here's your latest housing market update. So check this out. More than 40% of home sellers have dropped their asking prices in areas like Boise, Idaho, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Sacramento, California, where I live and work as a real estate agent. This is according to a new report from Redfin, and that's the topic of today's video. So I hope you guys get a lot of value of today's video. They just released this on the 21st of June, which is today at the time of this video. So I hope you guys appreciate these timely housing market updates. It says here, an increasing share of home sellers are lowering their asking prices. In other words, they're dropping their asking prices because they ask too much for their house, and therefore they're chasing down the housing market in order to attract a home buyer. In other words, for a price reduction or a price drop is a price adjustment. That's what real estate agents call them. We don't call them price drops, we call them price adjustments. In any case, it says here more home sellers are dropping their asking prices as rapidly rising mortgage rates cut into home buyers' budgets and home buying sentiment dropped to record lows. So in regards to rapidly rising mortgage rates cutting into home buyers' budgets, here's a really good way to look at this. This is according to Redfin again. It says with a 5.2% mortgage rate, a buyer on a $2,500 monthly budget can afford a home price at $427,250. When rates were 3% though, a home buyer on that same budget of $2,500 per month could afford a $517,500 home. So in other words, because rates increased from 3% to 5.2% back a month ago, a home buyer could only afford a $427,000 home, whereas 1 year ago, or basically January of this year, they could afford a $517,000 home. The key takeaway regarding this though is that right now, mortgage rates are at 6%. So this number of $427,000 obviously should be a lot less than that and could actually be less than $400,000 right now if that home buyer's budget is still $2,500 per month. And in regarding to home buying sentiment dropping, here's the latest survey we have from Fannie Mae. I actually made a separate video regarding this a couple of weeks ago. But in this survey though, they noted that only 17% of consumers reported that's a good time to buy a home, and that's a new survey low. And meanwhile, 79% of those responses to the survey here noted that it's a bad time to buy a home. So here's something I found to be very interesting. It says price reductions or price drops are especially common in mid-size metros in the West, particularly in Utah. So check this out. Nearly half, or 47.8% of houses for sale in Provo, Utah, which is located about 45 miles away from Salt Lake City, Utah, had a price drop in May. In other words, 47.8% of the homes had a price reduction in May, which is pretty astonishing. Almost more houses that had price reductions than did not. And this, by the way, was the highest share of the 108 metros that Redfin tracked in this analysis here. And Tacoma, Washington had approximately same percentage of price reductions at 47.7%. And that was followed by Denver, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Sacramento at 44.3%. So check this out. Part of the reason why these areas are seeing a large percentage of price reductions is because they're seeing a big increase of active listings or housing supply. If you Google Redfin data center, it takes you to this website here. And if you click on housing market data right here, you can search basically any metro that they track. They track approximately, I think, 100 plus metros. And you can look at any different metro you have an interest in. So let's have a look at Sacramento though. So Sacramento, take a look at this. This is a percent of active listings with price reductions in Sacramento area. So right now we're at 10.2%. By the way, that's by week. So if you multiply that by 4, that's approximately a 40% share of price reductions by month. Compare that to 1 year ago, or basically 2019, let's say. Again, 10.2% on a weekly basis, and therefore 40% on a monthly basis. So 10.2% this year, obviously 2022, but compare that to 2019, we only had 5.8%. So in other words, the share of price reductions in Sacramento has basically doubled since 2019. But look at 2021, obviously just 1 year ago, the share of price reductions was only 4.2%, but now we're at 10.2%, so more than double the share of price reductions compared to 1 year ago. And part of the reason for this is because of an increase of active listings, which is just like Provo, Utah, and also Boise, Idaho, for example. So right now in Sacramento, we have more houses for sale compared to last year, which is different compared to the whole nation as a whole. We still have less houses for sale compared to last year for on average across the United States. But right now in Sacramento, we have 25% more houses for sale compared to 1 year ago. And this is why we're seeing more price reductions in the area. Also, according to Redfin, Provo, Utah, Boise, Idaho, and Salt Lake City, Utah, Sacramento, and also Ogden, Utah, were also the top 5 metros with the biggest increases in the share of listings with price reductions compared to 1 year ago. So roughly 12% of listings in Provo and Boise had a price reduction back in May of 2021. And also it was around 20% in Salt Lake City, Utah, Sacramento, and Ogden, Utah as well. So check this out. The best way to share this with you guys is to have a look at this. So again, Provo, Utah led the pack this year or for May 2022 with the highest share of price reductions at 47.8%. But look at 1 year ago. How insane is this? 12.2% was a share back in May of 2021. So they basically went from a 12.2% share to a 47.8% share in one single year, which is pretty astonishing here. Here's something also I found to be very interesting as well. So when looking at this, Provo, Utah, again, 47.8% of price reductions for May 2022. But look at the gain in home prices from May 2020 to May 2022. So in 2 years, home prices increased there by 65.7%. Pretty crazy. In any case, as you guys can see here, Tacoma, Washington was in second place at 47.7%. That was followed by Denver, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Utah, Sacramento, and Boise. But look at Boise as well, 66.7% in gain in home prices from May 2020 to May 2022. Also in Boise, look at this. The change in the temperature, I would say, in the housing market, especially in Provo, Utah, and also in Boise, Idaho, because look at now, 44.2%, but 1 year ago, the share of price reductions was only 11.9%. So in other words, in Boise, Idaho, they have approximately 4 times more price reductions now compared to 1 year ago. Also, interesting enough, the cities that have the lowest share of price reductions were the following. Madison, Wisconsin was actually the least in this analysis here, again, of 108 metros in the US at 10.8%. That's actually just a little bit above last year's levels. And that was followed by these cities as well. Take a look at this. So in El Paso, Texas, 11.4%, a little bit of gain compared to 1 year ago. But look at Elgin, Illinois. They actually have less price reductions this year compared to 1 year ago, basically half the number. Because 1 year ago, they had 21.4% was the share of price reductions. Now it's basically half that. Also, Honolulu, Hawaii, 12.5%. And then Lake County, Illinois, 12.8%, also less compared to 1 year ago as well. Also in May 2021, the lowest share of price reductions was actually in Raleigh, North Carolina at 4.7%. Now we're at 17.1%. That was followed by El Paso, Texas, Durham, North Carolina, and also Honolulu, Hawaii as well. Also, when I sort it by the biggest increases in home prices compared to May 2020, here's what we have here. Cape Coral, Florida, the biggest increases of 72% compared to May 2020, which is pretty astonishing. And right now, their share of price reductions is at 37.2%, almost double the share compared to 1 year ago. Also, take a look at Austin, Texas, 68.5% in home prices from 2 years ago. But look at this big increase of price reductions. So they went from 10% from a year ago. Now they're at 25.7%. Boise, Idaho, look at that. 11, now 44%. Gains of 67% in home prices, as well as Northport, Florida, also 67.7%. And price reductions there as well, 40%. And lastly, look at Phoenix, Arizona, share right now at 32.9%. 1 year ago, far less, only 13.4%. But look at price gains, 62.1% there. And look at all these other cities of over 50% compared to May of 2020. Absolutely insane. And according to Redfin, the uptick in price reductions is symbolic of a slowdown in the housing market. Many buyers are backing out amid skyrocketing home prices, surging mortgage rates, high inflation, and a faltering stock market. So in regards to a faltering stock market, have a look at this. Here's on Wall Street Journal's website here. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 16% year to date. Also, the S&P 500 is down 21% this year alone, and the NASDAQ has gone down almost 30%. And according to Redfin's chief economist, Daryl Fairweather, she basically had this to say. She basically said there's two kinds of home sellers in today's market right now. Number one would be those who already know that the housing market has been cooling off and that home buying demand is decreasing because of rising mortgage rates and, of course, of rising home prices, which is squeezing out home buyers right now. And number two, we have home sellers that are learning right now that the housing market is cooling off. So for this pool of buyers who already know that this housing market is cooling off, they're pricing their houses aggressively and trying to get their houses sold quickly before home buying demand decreases further. But for the latter though, for those home sellers who are learning that the housing market is cooling off already, they are learning the hard way because they are doing price reductions in order to attract a home buyer. And as she mentions here, as more home sellers come to terms with this slowing housing market, fewer homes will have price reductions. So here's another trend that I found to be very interesting that I thought you guys would want to know about. It says here we had a big increase in home prices, largely due to out-of-town home buyers moving during the pandemic, right? So a lot of people moved to Boise, Idaho, and Salt Lake City, Utah, and competed with a lack of houses for sale, and that caused home prices to increase by more than 50% compared to May 2020. However, according to Redfin, for Boise, Idaho, and Salt Lake City, Utah, that trend has started to reverse. So Salt Lake City, Utah actually saw a net outflow, meaning more Redfin.com users looking to leave rather than move in for the first time on record in the first quarter of this year. So in other words, for people going on to Redfin for looking for houses for sale, they're seeing more people look for houses outside of the area rather than into that area. Also, according to an agent based in Boise, Idaho, she stated the following here. There aren't nearly as many people moving into Boise now that prices have basically gone through the roof, which basically made sense because back in May 2020, a lot of these areas were much more affordable, but because home prices increased over 60% in Boise, obviously we're seeing less people move there because it's less affordable. And she says here, ironically, a lot of Boise newcomers are now leaving because the quiet, slow-paced lifestyle that drew them there originally no longer exists. So comment below your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you got any value out of this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.